This 3-minute short story changed the way I look at life, and I'm sure it will give you a completely new perspective as well. Hey everyone, this is Rahul Adhikari and welcome to my YouTube channel. I wanted to share with you all this short story I heard a few years back that gave me a completely new outlook towards life. It comprises of two beautiful short stories actually, and it's important to listen to both of them completely to let their magic work. So stay with me till the end before letting me know what impact it had on you in the comments below. Here it goes. Back in the early 1900s lived a notorious gangster who literally ruled the city of Chicago. His name was Al Capone. He was a crime boss who dealt with all sorts of crimes under the sun, from prostitution to murder to tax evasion. But he owed this to one man, his lawyer nicknamed Easy Eddie, who kept him out of legal trouble every single time. Eddie's skills at legal maneuvering were next to none, and that is why he was handsomely rewarded by Al Capone. However, Eddie had one soft corner in his heart. He loved his son dearly, and despite his involvement with the biggest gangster in town, he wanted to teach his son better. He wanted him to become a good man. But with his own involvement in all the wrong things, he could neither pass a good name nor a good example, something which bore a deep hole in his heart for a long time. But one day, Eddie thought of rectifying his wrongdoings. He thought of going to the authorities to expose Al Capone for cleaning a tarnished name and hopefully offering his son some semblance of integrity. This was a huge decision to make because he knew that the repercussions could be many, including the possibility of him paying the highest price, his life. But he showed the courage and he did it. He testified against Al Capone to the authorities. All of Al Capone's crimes were exposed through evidence and he was put behind bars. After 6 years, just a week before Al Capone was to be released from prison, Eddie's life ended in a blaze of gunfire on a lonely Chicago street. The killers got lost in traffic and no arrest was ever made, but it was most certain it had something to do with what he did to Capone earlier. Eddie did pay the highest price he could, but in his eyes, he gave his son the greatest gift he had to offer. The police found a religious symbol and a poem in Eddie's dead body, which read, "The clock of life is wound but once, and no man has the power to tell just when the hands will stop, at late or early hour. Now is the only time you have. Live, love, toil with a will. Place no faith in time, for the clock may soon be still." World War II produced many heroes. One such hero was Lieutenant Commander Butch O'Hare. He was a fighter pilot assigned to the aircraft carrier Lexington of the US Navy in the South Pacific. On February 20th, 1942, the aircraft carrier's radar picked up several signals of unknown aircrafts within a 50-mile radius from the carrier. For safety, a combat patrol mission was launched and many aircrafts took airborne. Few hours later, the carrier caught another signal on radar, and this time it was only 12 miles out but on the other side of the carrier. With most of the aircrafts already gone in the opposite direction, the carrier was now left with just two planes, one of Butch O'Hare and the other of his wingman named Duff. As the carrier's only protection, they took airborne too, raced eastward and arrived at 1500 feet to find 9 Japanese bomber planes attacking them. Duff's guns were jammed and wouldn't fire, leaving only O'Hare to protect the carrier. O'Hare's aircraft had ammunition for only 34 seconds of firing, but laying aside all thoughts of personal safety, he dove into the formation of the Japanese planes and fired at as many planes as possible until his ammunition was finally over. Undaunted, he still continued the assault. Seeing his determination, soon the exasperated Japanese squadron took off in another direction. Deeply relieved, Butch O'Hare and his tattered fighter limped back to the carrier. Upon arrival, the video from the gun camera mounted on his plane reported the extent of Butch's daring attempt to protect his fleet. He had in fact destroyed 5 enemy aircrafts. For this warrior act, on April 21st, 1942, he became the first naval recipient of the Medal of Honor in World War II. O'Hare's final action took place a year later in 1943, where he was killed in an aerial combat at the age of 29. His hometown would not allow the memory of this World War II hero to fade, and today, O'Hare Airport in Chicago is named in tribute to the courage of this great man. If you ever find yourself in O'Hare International Airport, do visit Butch's memorial displaying his statue and his Medal of Honor. So these are two great stories from the past which convey a strong message. But what else do they have in common? Well, you see, Butch O'Hare was Easy Eddie's son. The one thing I take away from this story is that have the courage and faith to take the right step. Many times in our lives, we too are in similar situations where we need to take tough decisions between choices, which are not all inside the ethical boundaries. Of course, we may not be in as grave a situation as Easy Eddie, where our life is on the line, but they are still situations worth considering. For instance, when we were younger, we may have found ourselves during an exam where we got a chance to cheat and perform better, and we did it. Or sometimes when we are caught in a tough situation at work, we lie to our bosses to avoid accepting our mistake and maybe even put the blame on someone else. Or how many times do we find ourselves gossiping about someone to somebody when we know we should not be doing it? Like these, there are multiple instances daily in our lives where we unfortunately do end up making the wrong choice because it makes our life easier or more fun. And we convince ourselves that it's okay to do so, thinking that it doesn't matter or it doesn't harm anyone. But is that really a fact? What if because of cheating someone else more deserving doesn't get in? Is there a possibility? What if your lie to your boss ends up hurting someone else's career? Maybe it won't, but isn't it a possibility? What if your gossip ends up hurting the other person's image and has long-term repercussions you may not even witness? Maybe, maybe not, but isn't there a possibility? So the question we need to ask ourselves when we are about to take such decisions, even though they may seem trivial, is there even a tiniest bit of possibilities of this harming someone else? And if the answer is yes, don't do it. So have the courage to say no to that wrong choice. Have the courage to take the right step and have faith in something bigger, because in the end, it will be worth it. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you continue to watch the other videos as well. But before you do that, make sure to hit the subscribe button at the bottom so that you don't miss out on any of the future videos. Hit the like button to show your support and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, mad respect, loads of love, stay blessed, and let's help each other make humans better. Peace!